The mysterious visitor. In October 2017, the sensors at the Pan-STARRS Observatory in Hawaii detected something impossible. A faint point of light, barely visible, was moving across the sky at an unusual speed. It wasn't a comet, it wasn't an asteroid, and it didn't seem to belong to our solar system. In fact, it was already on its way out. The object was named Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning a messenger from afar who arrives first. And maybe that's the most fitting name we've ever given to something from space. It passed by us like a quiet stranger walking through a party, without stopping, without warning, without looking back. But it wasn't just the speed that intrigued scientists. Its trajectory, acceleration, shape, everything about it seemed wrong, or rather, too different to ignore. What if it wasn't just a wandering space rock? What if it was something constructed, an abandoned probe, a solar sail, a relic that crossed the void of space for ages until it arrived here and left without a trace? And more disturbing still, why did the scientific community respond with silence instead of fascination? What are they afraid of finding if they look too closely? This is the story of Oumuamua, an object that challenged scientific understanding, split the astronomy world, and may have been our first conscious interstellar visitor. Or maybe not. But to understand why that idea isn't as absurd as it sounds, we need to go back to where it all began. It was October 19, 2017, when the Pan-STARRS telescope picked up something strange in the sky. At first glance, it seemed like just another faint dot of light, moving slowly. But as astronomers calculated its path, they realized this object wasn't orbiting the sun like everything else. Its trajectory was hyperbolic, an open curve, clearly showing it came from beyond our solar system. Not only that, its speed was far too fast to be caught by the sun's gravity. Oumuamua wasn't bound to the sun, it was just passing through. And even more intriguing, by the time we detected it, it was already heading away. In other words, it had passed its closest point to the sun weeks earlier. We only noticed it when it was already too late. Imagine someone walking through your house in the middle of the night, through a door you didn't even know existed, and leaving before you ever woke up. That's how the scientific community felt. It was the first confirmed interstellar object ever observed passing near Earth. And even with our most advanced instruments, we only caught a brief glimpse of its silhouette. But what we saw was enough to raise a lot of questions. The first data on Oumuamua was analyzed rapidly, and one unusual fact stood out. Its brightness varied drastically within minutes. That suggested it was spinning, but not in a stable way. It seemed to be tumbling chaotically, like a piece of something larger, or maybe something that had been struck. But the real surprise came when scientists estimated its shape. Based on the way its light changed, they concluded that Oumuamua was extremely elongated, up to 10 times longer than it was wide. Some said it looked like a cosmic cigar. Others imagined it as a flat pancake. Both options are weird. Natural objects like asteroids or comets rarely have such extreme shapes. Most are irregular, but still follow certain patterns shaped by collisions and gravity. But Oumuamua seemed unnaturally slender. Then came the final anomaly. It was accelerating. Its path showed a slight but measurable acceleration as it moved away from the sun. And here's the strange part. This acceleration couldn't be explained by gravity. So maybe it was a comet releasing gas that pushed it forward? That would make sense, except there was no tail, no trail of material, no sign of sublimation. The process that makes comets boil near the sun. Nothing. Asteroids don't accelerate on their own. Comets do. But where was the evidence? Science needed answers, and that's when the theories began. To most of the scientific community, the idea that Oumuamua might be artificial seemed premature, even ridiculous. So they turned to more conventional explanations. The first major theory came in 2018. Maybe Oumuamua was made of pure hydrogen ice. If that type of ice sublimated, it wouldn't leave a visible trace, but could explain the observed acceleration. Elegant, but flawed. Hydrogen ice is extremely volatile. It would have evaporated long before reaching our solar system. It couldn't have survived the journey. Another idea, maybe it was a chunk of a distant planet, like an exo-Pluto, coated in frozen nitrogen. This could also sublimate discreetly, but again, the conditions for such a formation are rare, and no direct evidence was found. In short, each explanation required a chain of new assumptions. Suppose the object was made of rare material that came from a specific kind of system that survived an interstellar trip and behaved in a very specific way. If the explanation needs 4 unlikely assumptions, is it really the best one? To some scientists, this sounded less like science and more like an effort to avoid a troubling possibility. What if it's not natural? This is where Avi Loeb comes in. A professor of astrophysics at Harvard, Loeb isn't some fringe theorist. He's respected, award-winning, and once chaired Harvard's astronomy department. But in 2021, Loeb broke a taboo. In his book Extraterrestrial, he made a bold claim. What if Oumuamua was on an alien solar sail? Solar sails are ultra-thin structures that travel using nothing but the pressure of starlight. They're part of real projects, like Breakthrough Starshot, which Loeb supports. These sails can travel huge distances with slow but steady acceleration, exactly like Oumuamua's behavior. Loeb suggested the object might be abandoned tech, an interstellar probe, a piece of a spacecraft, or something deliberately sent. The reaction? Mixed. Some colleagues praised his courage. Many mocked him. They called it irresponsible speculation or sci-fi dressed up as science. But Loeb stood his ground. It's not a lack of evidence, it's fear of asking the question, he said, and he had a point. Why is it so taboo to suggest alien technology? If it were Soviet or Chinese or even Martian, speculation would be fine. But mention intelligent life beyond Earth, and science goes quiet. That silence, Loeb believes, is more troubling than the object itself. Despite early excitement, NASA took weeks to comment. No missions were launched, no satellites were redirected, no detailed data collection was organized. Just passive observation, and then silence. Why? Maybe it was fear of sounding sensational. Or worse, fear of ruining academic reputations by associating with UFO talk. That's why Loeb launched the Galileo Project, an independent initiative to study anomalous objects with the seriousness they deserve, but which institutions tend to avoid. He argues, if there's even a 1% chance we saw alien technology, shouldn't we investigate with 100% effort? But that's not what happened with Oumuamua. It passed, it was dismissed, and maybe lost forever. Maybe we're not alone. Maybe we just don't want to know. Of course, the other side must be heard. Scientists like Alan Jackson from the University of Toronto argue that Oumuamua could easily be a shard of icy rock ejected from a distant star system. Simulations show elongated shapes can form from planetary collisions. The acceleration? Maybe from unknown but natural processes. Ones we just don't fully understand yet. No tail? Maybe it was there, just too faint to see. Or maybe the composition of the object was simply unusual. This is where skepticism makes sense. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The danger of believing too much is missing what's really there. If we start calling every anomaly alien, we risk turning science into superstition. But if we never consider that possibility, we risk missing something that could change everything. The story of Oumuamua isn't just about an object from far away. It's about what we choose to see or ignore when the unknown shows up at our door. Would we even recognize advanced tech if we saw it? Or would it just look like a weird rock? Think about what a smartphone would seem like to humans 200 years ago. Just a piece of glass and metal. No context, no meaning. What if Oumuamua is the same? A relic so far beyond our understanding that we can only call it a stone. Maybe we've missed other chances. Maybe visitors passed by more often than we think. and we just don't notice. Because we're looking for flying saucers, blinking lights, radio signals. But what if contact is quieter, more subtle? And most of all, what does it say about us that we dismiss the possibility before even exploring it? Science's greatest blind spot might be its pride. After all, how can we say something's impossible if we never allow it to be possible? In October 2017, something crossed our solar system. Too fast to be a comet, too silent to be a ship, too strange to ignore. Oumuamua forced us to ask an uncomfortable question. Are we ready to encounter the unknown? Or are we only prepared to reject it? And you, what do you believe Oumuamua really was? An interstellar rock? Alien tech? Or maybe something even harder to define? Share your theory in the comments, subscribe for more cosmic mysteries, and stay alert. Because Oumuamua might not have been the first, and it certainly won't be the last. If the universe really is sending us messages, the question is, are we paying attention? If this story sparked your curiosity, leave a comment below. What do you think Oumuamua really was? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next mystery from the edge of science and the unknown. Because this was just one visitor, and the next one might not pass us by so quietly. See you in the next transmission.